Welcome back to my channel, Easy English with Satyajit. In this video, I will discuss 100 plus important MCQs from The Second Coming by Wbchse. Let's start. Which historical event do most critics believe this poem specifically referred to World War I? What kind of shapes does the word Jaya refer to? Circle. What language is the word Spiritus Mundi from? Latin. What kind of mythological creature is featured in the poem? A sphinx. What book of the Bible does the term the Second Coming originate from? Revelations. What poetic form is the Second Coming based on? Iambic pentameter. Which author titled a novel after a quote from the Second Coming? Wbchse, a novelist, African novelist. Which economic political systems were rising during those days? Communism and fascism. Answer hobe both A and B. What does the phrase the Second Coming refer to in the Bible? The second appearance of Jesus Christ. What do the word blank and pitiless as the sun refer to? The sphinx gaze. What were the 20 centuries of stony slave referring to? Right option, option C. The nearly 2000 years since Christ's first coming. In what year was W.B. Yeats born? 1865. Yeats was most interested in which school of thought? Right answer is Christianity, which is not an example of Yeats' prophecies in the Second Coming coming true in the 20th century. The environmental movement. What city is the beast approaching? Bethlehem, which is not a word that characterizes the Second Coming. Silence. What do the sphinx and the desert birds most likely not represent? Noah's Ark. Where was Yeats born? Dublin, Ireland. The poem The Second Coming is written by W.B. Yeats. W.B. Yeats is an Irish poet. Which form of poetry is the Second Coming? A lyric. The name of the magazine where this poem was printed for the first time was The Dial. The year when the poem was first printed is 1921. W.B. Yeats became a Nobel laureate in the year 1923. The final publication of the poem, The Second Coming, was done in 1920. The collection of verses where The Second Coming was finally published was Michael Roberts and the Dancer. The source of the poem, The Second Coming, is Bible, Book of Revelation. The background or setting of the poem, The Second Coming, is all the three mentioned above. In The Second Coming, the poet alludes the First World War. W.B. Yeats belongs to the modern era of poetry. The poem, The Second Coming, is divided into two stanzas. The Second Coming consists of 22 lines. The poem, The Second Coming, is written in blank verse. The poem, The Second Coming, was written in 1919 when the First World War ended. The central theme of The Second Coming is all the three mentioned above. In the poem, The Second Coming, the poet uses iambic pentameter. In this poem, gyre means circular or spiral motion. The mythological creature featured in this poem is Sphinx. In the Bible, the second coming refers to the second appearance of Jesus. Falcon in the poem symbolizes human race. Turning and turning in the widening gyre. The figure of speech used here is assonance. According to the poet, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. In the phrase widening gyre, the image of gyre symbolically represents historical approach. The word gyre is a अथवा n, Greek word. In the expression turning and turning in the widening gyre, the word turning is used to suggest the cyclical movement in history. The literal meaning of gyre is coiling motion. The falcon cannot hear the falconer. Here the word falconer symbolizes Jesus Christ, who cannot hear the falconer, the falcon. In the line, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Both the falcon and the falconer are the examples of metaphor. Things fall apart as the consequence of the continuous widening of the gyre. In the expression, the center cannot hold. The poet suggests the state of disorder and anarchy of the 20th century. A mere anarchy loosed upon the world as all the three mentioned above. Turning and turning in the widening gyre. The consequence of this is the gyre is widening, the things fall apart, the center cannot hold. All of this. What is loosed upon the world? Mere anarchy. The phrase, the blood dim tide, is an example of metaphor. The phrase, blood dim tide, suggests symbolically biblical deluge. In the phrase, blood dim tide, the poet implies the horrific situation left by the First World War and the Easter Rising. In the phrase, blood dim tide, the tide is the symbol of violence and bloodshed. The expression blood dim tide is loosed conveys the emotion of fright and horror. What is drowned everywhere? Ceremony of innocence. What kind of view of the poet is expressed through the expression, the ceremony of innocence is drowned? Apocalyptic. The phrase ceremony of innocence refers to loss of innocence, breakdown of virtue, disruption of purity, all of these. In the expression, the ceremony of innocence is drowned, the phrase ceremony of innocence is used as a metaphor for loss of faith and hope. The figure of speech used in the expression, the ceremony of innocence is drowned, is personification. In the poem, The Second Coming, according to the poet, best people are those who are good and moral but lack conviction. According to the poet, in the poem, worst people are those who are morally incorrect, are passionate about their beliefs, both A and B. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. The figure of speech used here is consonance. The repetition of the word the at the beginning of 3 successive lines of the first stanza, line number 5, 6, and 7, is an example of eulogy. In the poem, The Second Coming, the best lack conviction. In the poem, The Second Coming, the worst are full of passionate intensity. In the absence of the best man's conviction, the world will be dominated by wicked men with passionate intensity. Surely some revelation is at hand. Here, revelation is used as a metaphor. Surely some revelation is at hand. Here the poet's tone expresses hope and optimism. The poet expects revelation with the birth of Jesus Christ for the second time. At the beginning of the second stanza, the repetition of the word surely in the first and second line is an example of anaphora. Surely the second coming is at hand. The second coming here is a metaphor for the new revelation, the birth of Christ for the second time, representing a new age of renewal and rebirth. All of these, the poet is expectant of revelation at hand when the world is filled with immortality and disorder. Human civilization is haunted by evil and wickedness. There is no escape from doom and disaster. All of this. When the poet firmly expects a new revelation or a new coming at hand, he visualizes the image of a sphinx. The image out of Spiritus Mundi is vast. The term Spiritus Mundi has the origin from Latin. The poet's sight is troubled by the image out of spiritus mundi. The phrase spiritus mundi refers to collective consciousness of humanity. Troubles my sight, somewhere in sense of desert. The figure of speech used here is alliteration. A shape with lion body and the head of a man. The literary device used here is imagery. The body of the beast like image is like a lion. The head of the beast like image is like a man. The beast like image is equal to Sphinx. The first image is located in the sense of desert. A gaze blank and pitiless as the sun. The gaze referred to here is the gaze of the bestial image. The gaze of the bestial image is said to be blank and merciless. A gaze blank and pitiless as the sun. The figure of speech used here is simile. The Sphinx movement is slow. The expression blank and pitiless refers to the gaze of Sphinx. The desert birds are said to be indignant. Who are said to be indignant in this poem? The desert birds. Who is moving its slow thighs? The Sphinx. The desert birds are the symbol of death and annihilation. The shadows of indignant desert birds represent warning of imminent doom, ominous signs, both A and B. The subject of comparison between the Sphinx and the sun is pitilessness. Blank and pitiless as the sun. Here, the comparison is made between the Sphinx and the sun. The shadows reeling all about the bestial image are referred to the desert birds. The shadows are referred to here as indignant. The desert birds in the poem are used as the symbol of death. The Sphinx and the desert birds most probably represent the Antichrist. The pitiless gaze is said to be the gaze of the Sphinx. 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed to nightmare. Thank you for watching my video.